Well, we're just going to wait until we see some people come in. I've never done a live before, so I'm totally lost on what actually happens with it. So I hope to see some people come in. I'm probably going to have a problem looking at the webcam because it is on top of my monitor. So I might keep looking down. So I apologize for that if there's anyone in here yet. Anyway, I'm just looking to see if I see anyone showing up as yet, and I'll wait until there is a few more in here before I start speaking about what I was wanting to talk about. So looks like we had one and now it's down to 0, so I'm not sure that this is actually working. And it looks like I'm going to be my own moderator. So if anyone is listening, I think I see one in here, and I'm not even sure who that is. If you could message on the side, I think I see where the messages are. Actually, this is quite large. I've seen a lot of um, live people that just say that it's kind of a difficult format. And as far as I'm seeing, it's not very difficult at all. There's a large box on the right side that I can see all the chat. But then again, I have a monitor that's like 40 inches. So that might be what's helping out. So anyway, I did a live chat replay on this, so this will replay on my channel. So what I wanted to talk about today, since we don't have anyone in as yet, but you'll be able to see this video once it goes up. I'm not sure how the live chat replay does, how long it takes for the video to actually process and go up to my channel, but because this is the first live that I have ever done. What I wanted to talk about today was that I had received a couple of, I guess you want to say, dislikes on my channel. The first ones that I had ever received, and a couple of like really negative comments that I had removed off of my channel. Anyway, I guess I kind of wanted to address that. I know a lot of people were giving me advice and saying you shouldn't address that. It's probably just trolls and it actually helps you out more on your channel. That's all well and good that it helps out, regardless of whether it's negative or positive feedback. However, I think it does need to be addressed because I do see a lot on multiple different channels that I am subscribed to. I think I'm subscribed to like 250 channels, and they're all mostly homesteading channels and um, very, very like not news channels, but like information channels and things like that. But mostly just homesteading and stuff like that. Um, what I wanted to say is there are a whole lot of trolls out there, and I do realize this. And I didn't come into this being new per se, because I've actually had my YouTube channel for over 12 years, and I've posted videos in that 12-year time span. I just didn't have it organized and have a certain way that I was doing things up to that point. And I just posted a video, gosh, sometimes a year or 2 years, sometimes even more apart from each other. Mostly in the beginning, at the beginning of that 12 years, I was actually recording my friend when she had her baby, and I recorded a couple of birthday parties for my daughters. And it's kind of hard for me to realize that when I look back on it now, like 12 years ago, my daughter's 26, my oldest one, and my youngest one's 25. it's been a long time ago, and I'm seeing them when they were like young teenagers and things, and it's just boggles my mind. So anyway, in regards to the trolls and the dislikes and things like that, I sometimes don't understand how YouTube does things, and I'm not even monetized, so I'm not really worried about them demonetizing anything because I don't have enough subscribers yet. I don't have enough views yet. It takes like 4,000 hours of views and 1,000 subscribers or something like that. Now we're well on the way to having those subscribers, but not the views. So, and I'm not even really concerned about that. When I started my YouTube channel, like I said, I started it 12 years ago. The intention was for it to just be something as an outlet for me. I have always been, not very many people know this, but I have always been in, uh, if you want to say, public media, publicity, and things like that, because my family were musicians. They were musicians that traveled around all over the United States, and they have presence all over the world. And I had always been in that kind of lifestyle when I was growing up. I was actually on stage with my parents in a playpen when I was less than a week old. And they traveled constantly. So either it was leave me with babysitters or family or take me with them. And a lot of times they took me with them. There were times when I had to stay with a babysitter because I really just didn't want to go on these big long trips because I'd have to miss school and stuff like that when I got up to school age. And when they would take me on these trips, um, there was a lot of times that I did things that probably most kids never got the opportunity to do. However, that was also extremely boring for a kid because I knew all of their songs, I knew all of their music, and I just wanted to be a kid when I was young. So sometimes I got dragged around and things that I just really didn't want to. So anyway, in some way, I have been always in the public eye. Um, I'm not so much as I was then, but I still at times work on my family's, well, YouTube channels and public media and social media and things like that. I still work on those things for them from time to time. So, in some way, I have always been in that kind of a lifestyle. Now, that doesn't mean that I am famous or any of that stuff because I've always been kind of in the background. Um, but I do know a lot of the ins and outs of that type of lifestyle, having traveled with them and everything. So, anyway, going back to what was posted negatively on my channel, I was expecting it at some point, but I just didn't realize it would be so early, especially how I have designed my channel to be just very nondescript on certain things. And I don't really have a set format how I do things, or do I have the big fancy titles or the big fancy equipment or any of that. Like right now, I'm in my office in my house, and this is the Victorian house. It isn't fancy. It's just a little side office or side room from our bedroom. So it's just a small room that was probably initially designed as being a sewing room or a baby's room or nursery way back whenever this house was built, which was in 1883. So this is just like an offshoot room, and I use it. You can see the sewing machine in the back. I don't ever use it because I'm not really that good about using sewing machines or sewing. I can mend socks and I can do things like that, but I've always done those things by hand. So I have really no clue about using sewing machines other than to how to thread them. And that one is not working very well, and it's a shame because it's a really nice Bernina sewing machine. It's a very expensive sewing machine, but it's very old. My partner bought it when I think it was in the early 70s or mid 70s, something like that. But anyway, I just, I expected it, but I just didn't think it would be this soon to have trolls on my channel or people disliking things. And I guess they're not, certain people are probably not enjoying how I do the format of my channel, which is not really a format. There's nothing really organized. I don't have a set plan. I don't go out there with into my garden with like this idea of what I'm going to do. I just do what I think looks right for me to do. And this was mainly what it was set up as a gardening channel, but it doesn't necessarily always mean that it's going to be that way. And then I might add other things in there, like you've seen a couple videos now of my grandson and us enjoying either some time out from gardening or whatever we're doing in life. And you've seen some travel videos that I've had. And that is one of the things that happens with being in the music lifestyle, is that there is a lot of traveling that is involved. Now, I don't travel as much as I used to, and I am living with my partner, and we're not in that lifestyle anymore. At least I'm not in that lifestyle anymore. But there are opportunities that come up from time to time where I do some traveling. And he is a CEO of two companies from home. So we do go on some work related things that he does, and go to meet coworkers and things like that, all across the country. And one incident so far, it's been out overseas. We went to Switzerland, France, Germany, Liechtenstein, Austria, Italy, and we had an amazing time. It was more of just pleasure on that event, but it also had to do with a coworker that he has. So, what my partner does, and most people do not know this, and I haven't really talked about, is that he is a CEO of a computer chip company. So, he makes computer chips, and he has a computer chip that is completely different from anything that Windows or Apple has to deal with. He actually works with something called Forth. Um, so if you want to Google that, I really can't explain it because it's a lot of technology that I'm not familiar with. And even though I'm here and I see some of the things he does, there's some things that I'm familiar with, but I've never worked with that type of operating system and um, coding that he does. He does a lot of coding and he does a lot of programming, and he makes the computer chips, and he is just basically really, really way more knowledgeable about computers and technology than I am. And I am not by any means unaware of things. It's like I could do a whole lot of other things with videos than I have been doing, because I do have that technology background. But like I said, when I designed my channel on how I was going to do my videos, I never planned on them to be very organized, or that I was going to get so in depth with having to spend hours upon hours every single day, and be basically tied down to editing videos all day, every day, figuring out all of these different things that will make people more happy with what I'm doing. So my videos will stay as they are now. I am starting to kind of branch out into doing a little bit more with my videos, like right now doing a live stream, which I haven't done before. I probably could have done one a lot earlier, and I realized that this is a weekend and probably most people are out and about and doing errands, as far as like grocery shopping and stuff like that. That's when I do my things, and in fact, that's what I'm going to be doing right after I get out of this videos. I'm going to be heading out and doing some grocery shopping and going to Sam's Club and things like that. And right now it's Cheyenne Frontier Days in Cheyenne, Wyoming. So we are extremely busy. So I'm thoroughly expecting to have to be out there a lot longer than I need or want. And I think that tonight is going to be Blake Shelton, I think, and he's probably going to have Gwen Stefani with him, which is now his wife. And I'm sure that the city is just going to explode with the amount of people. And I do apologize that I keep looking down, because, like I said, my webcam is up on top of my monitor, and I'm not really used to being in front of the camera so much anymore. So I have a tendency to look down because I'm looking at some of the things, and I've got my microphone right in front of me. So I'm hoping everyone can hear everything okay, because I do have my microphone sitting in front of me. I usually use a headset, and I could put my headset on, but I figured that it would probably look a little less ridiculous if I don't have my headset on and I'm actually just trying to look at the camera. So anyway, and my camera does have um, a microphone on it, but it's not very good. Um, we've already tested that theory and it didn't turn out very good at all. So anyway, like I said, going back to the trolls, it doesn't bother me at all. Now, I did put a statement out there after I received that little blip. Oh, and it looks like what heirloom permaculture said hello. So anyway, hello back, heirloom permaculture. Anyway, I did get that little thing from a troll, and I did post a response because at that time I didn't realize that negative things like that also contribute to your channel in a positive way. And I kind of think it's, in my personal opinion, that's kind of ridiculous. To me, it shouldn't really be that way. You should be, getting your views and things on the merits that you're doing. But regardless, even if I think it's ridiculous, that's the way YouTube has it set up. So going into that, YouTube. I've learned quite a few things about YouTube. I never really paid attention to those things in the past, but all of that requirements of having like 4,000 views and 1,000 subscribers is kind of, to me, ridiculous, especially when you are, no matter how small of a channel you are, how many small amount of viewers that you have, or how little of views that you have. It looks like to me that any kind of positive feedback from a content creator um, would be good for YouTube, because I do know that there are a lot of people that are pulling away from YouTube and going to other platforms like Patreon and um, Twitch, and some of the other things out there, even Instagram now, that I know that Instagram's doing videos, and I haven't even really done anything with Instagram. I have a channel there on Instagram, or presence profile, whatever you want to say that it is. And I do post things there from time to time, but I haven't really been involved that much with Instagram. And I do question being involved with like Instagram and Facebook and even YouTube, because of the lack of morals involving information on people, personal information. So it does bother me in that aspect. But, and again, I've been in the public life for so many years that it doesn't really bother me anymore. Um, those kinds of things. And it's really funny. Heirloom permaculture, I don't know if you're hearing me right now. I hope you are. But it's supposed to show me like when people are in the video, but I don't, like, I see zero, nothing. So I hope you are seeing this. It's kind of weird, but so I guess that is the aspect that people talk about when they get on the live streams, and they say it's a little weird, and sometimes you can't really figure out what's going on. I have had a great big box for like the chat, so I can see your chat coming in. So I have no issue with that, which I think a lot of people complain about. But it's probably, again, because I have a huge monitor, so I see all of the chat that's coming in just fine. But it's not showing me like you're listening in or you're here. Like, it has two little people and it's supposed to have like a number count, and it's not showing that at all. So that's a little odd. Um, and it does make it kind of difficult. Like, I guess I could minimize the screen for live stream. I don't know. I'm not really seeing where I can minimize it. But I can't really see anything else. Like, this is all I see. Like, it's the entire screen. Oh, that's good. I'm really glad the audio is good, because I have my headset microphone, and it is a noise canceling, so I wasn't really sure if it was going to pick up my voice at all, and I just got it sitting in front of my keyboard. So yeah, it's really weird. I'm not real sure how that works with the zero watching. But anyway, I was just doing a live stream really to test if the live stream works, how it works, what it looks like, try to get familiar with it so I can do some more of these, because people don't really get to see me in front of the camera very much because I'm always the one like holding the camera and recording a video. But I always use my phone to record my videos, and it's funny because I can actually show my phone now. This is the phone that does all the business. So I don't really have a camera like, I think the Canon, most people use the Canon E50 or D50 or something like that. I don't even have a digital camera. I haven't had a digital camera in years. And the reason why I don't have a digital camera is I used to have them all the time. They would constantly keep changing all of the requirements for the digital cameras. Like I would have, say, Windows 2000, and it didn't use Windows 2000 anymore. And then I had Vista, and then it didn't use Vista anymore. And I'd have to constantly change a digital camera, it seemed like every couple of years. And I've always been really, really careful with the electronics that I have, so I don't have to get rid of them so often. So, like this phone is still the Samsung Galaxy 8 Plus. And I just basically, what happens is I get the phone that my partner has. When he gets done with his phone, and he always takes really good care of his, I get that phone, and then he gets the newest phone, the latest phone, because I'm not in the type of business that he is in, and I don't need all the latest bells and whistles. So anyway, no, I don't really worry about the trolls at all. It's not really bothered me at the least. I did put a statement out there before I realized that it doesn't really affect anything. However, I still kind of stand by that statement. I find it ridiculous that trolls do that there are these things out there. And in my experience from the troll activity that I've seen on other people's channels, is that they are over 18 years old. Most of them are over 18 years old. I know there's a channel that I watch. Her name is Glenda Sully, and she is in New York, and she's not really a homestead or anything. She just makes videos. The way I had got tuned into it was that she's trying to change her life around. She went to jail. She had, and she's an older lady. She, I think, is in her 60s, maybe late 50s. But anyway, she is trying to change her life around. And that is what she's basically making her channel out, is changing her life around. And there are these trolls that follow her that are literally stalking this lady. And these women are in their late 50s, 60s as well. And they're just, the high school mentality is amazing to me. I don't know if it's just modern society or what, but it's not just, for me, it's like you don't just see the trolls that are on other people's YouTube channels. You also see them in everyday life. I have a Facebook page, and it's a very default Facebook page. It's basically for my gardening channel and things like that. Anyway, there is a group that I am on called Cheyenne Connections. And this group is just basically for the city of Cheyenne. You have to ask to be in the group and that kind of thing and be approved. But it amazes me the amount of trolls that I see on this group. And they are people that live here in Cheyenne. And these are people that are over 18 years old, most of the time well over 35. And it amazes me how much high school drama that there is throughout the world these days. I didn't come from a life like that. Like, my parents were musicians and they traveled all over the place, and we had to deal with public life, but we didn't deal with trolls. Like, they didn't have a social media presence until mid 2005-ish, I guess. So that's when we started having a social media presence for them, when I started creating I think at that time it was a MySpace page. And then it eventually went to Facebook, and then they have a YouTube channel, this, that, and the other. But they have never, in all the time that we have had social media for them and publicity, never once have we had a troll. There's been people that will say, I don't like this or I don't like that, but they're not really trolls, you know. Um, but usually they'll say something like this troll that basically put these, that just put unlikes or dislikes on my channel. They didn't really say anything other than like link a video or something. And never ever do I suggest clicking a link to a video unless you know exactly where that video is going. That's left in the comments. And sometimes I try to be pretty proactive about going through my YouTube channel and seeing what people have commented and try to comment back to you. So I do see, like, sometimes when someone posts a link to a video, and I'll remove it if I don't know what that is. Because I don't want people going someplace and ending up getting a whole bunch of spam on their computers, or having to deal with something like that, because I think it's just ridiculous. So as far as a moderator for my channel goes, you're looking at her. This is the moderator. I don't have a moderator right now on the live. Hi, Carolyn. I'm glad you could come in and see the live. It was totally spontaneous. I just thought, hey, what the heck? I'm going to try to do a live and see how this thing works. So I'm here. And if you have any questions, which I haven't mentioned, if you have any questions for me about gardening or anything, honestly, any question whatsoever that I could give advice on or anything, you're more than welcome to put that in there. Let me see. Yeah, I would say probably after a few thousand subs and things, I'll probably blow off the trolls. After a few thousand subs, I may not even be able to know what the heck's going on with my channel. I just may say, what the heck? Yeah, definitely try to figure out where to put my camera. And that's Heirloom Permaculture said. Well, you can read it there, but yeah, I probably need to do that. And this little camera, it's a good camera. It's a good webcam. I've honestly hardly ever used it, but it does hook onto the top of my monitor, and my monitor's 40 inches. So I'm looking up like, ah, so it's up on top of my monitor. So I guess I'll have to try to figure out where else I can hook it onto. I might try to I've got a laptop as well. So I might try to crack that out and use the webcam that's on my laptop. That probably would be a little bit easier. And I do know, I think it's Bake a Leg. She actually reads the comments on her phone at the same time, but I don't know. That might drive me crazy to try to look and see what the comment is on my phone. Yeah, and that's another thing that I did with my phone is I got this. It's like a self sticky. It's like a stick self stick selfie stick, I guess, and it has this thing that extends out. And I tried using that with my, and I did one video I think with it, um, in the garden, but I found it really unhandy because there's a lot of times when I just pause when I'm doing a video. I figured out how to pause. So I'll just pause the video and then I'll do something and then come back to it. And I found that was easier for me than using that selfie stick thing. And the only thing I do like about the selfie stick is it has a control on the bottom of the selfie stick where I can just hit the button without having to reach up or do anything with my camera. So it actually connects into my phone, and I got this thing at Big Lots. It was seriously like $3.99, and you can just hit the control, and it actually does something with the camera, like hit the record and stuff like that. But the only thing that I have an issue with is like trying to use my phone to really do a selfie video, because it doesn't, that would be basically me having to turn the camera on my phone all the time, because the video camera on my phone is better on this part, the back, than it is on my front facing video. This one is like not good at all. So I haven't even tried to use it really to record a video. I think maybe one time I did. So spontaneity is fun. Yeah, spontaneous react. Aha, I can't even say that word. I can't even talk today. I've had issues all morning trying to say something ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, it's fun to just be spontaneous. Yeah, I might try that. I'm not sure if this video camera will work like that because it has like a little where it hooks onto the edge of the monitor. And I don't think that detaches. It might, but I don't think it does. Or I might just try to see if I can find a webcam that does. But like I was telling them earlier, I don't really have a digital camera. I haven't had a digital camera in years because I think the last one I had was the one that I had for Vista. And I had Windows Vista at the time. And I just basically got tired of having to change them every single time there was an update on Windows. So I went through like 3 video cameras or digital cameras in less than 5 years because they constantly were updating Windows at that time. Right now, by the way, I'm still on Windows 7. I have not went to Windows 10, and it's because my partner says that Windows 10 is way more controlled by Microsoft than what Windows 7 was, and like I have noticed that. My daughter has Windows 10 on her laptop. She got the Microsoft Surface, so she is constantly complaining like, well, there was this update in the background and now my keyboard doesn't work. She lost use of the keyboard that we bought for it. It had, when you get the Microsoft Surface, you get it. It basically looks like a tablet. That's what you get. You have to buy the keyboard separately, and the keyboard it goes onto it then, and it does then look like a laptop. But she got this really nice keyboard. She wanted it in a specific color, and it ended up costing a little bit more because it was in the specific color. And then Windows 10 got an update for something, and then her keyboard won't work now. So now we're going to have to buy another keyboard for her because she's getting ready to head back to college in, I think it's around the 23rd of August. And she just got her associates from Laramie County Community College. So she is in vocal education. So she's a soprano 1, if you know anything about music. And so she has like these really long classes. And sorry if you can hear my dogs barking. I've got 4 dogs, four toy poodles. And they're curious why I have the door shut. And they want to know why. And they're barking. But anyway, she's headed back to Colorado State University because she could go to the University of Wyoming, but where we live in Cheyenne, Laramie is kind of over a pass. And right now I'm in Cheyenne, it's a little over 6,000 feet elevation here, and it's the plains. So you basically live up on top of the plains. And then in Laramie, there's this pass which puts it at over like 9,000 feet elevation. And it's not as close as Colorado State University is, to be very honest. So she could go to University of Wyoming, and it probably would be cheaper. However, she would have to go across a pass. She doesn't have a 4-wheel drive, so she would have to get a 4-wheel drive vehicle. She's not really familiar with driving a 4-wheel drive. There's a whole lot of factors that are going into why it's just a bad idea for her to go to the University of Wyoming. Plus, it would be a little over an hour away, her driving, not counting if there's snow and ice and stuff like that. And I'm the one that watches my grandson when she's going to college. So I told her it would be way better to go to Colorado State University because it's about 45 minutes away in Fort Collins, Colorado. but it's going to cost her out-of-state tuition. So kind of a pain in the butt about that. She did end up getting a scholarship, which cut off 50% of the cost to go to Colorado State University, because she has a 4.0 grade point average. And so she ended up getting a couple of different scholarships. However, she's still going to have to pay about 50% out of pocket. She is completely extinguished all of her any financial aid that you can get, because they have a limited cap on it. So she is now going to have to start paying out of pocket. And then I told her that would probably be another good reason why she would be going to Colorado State versus going to University of Wyoming, because if she has to work over there and it's more than an hour away, it's better to try to work where you're going to college, so that way she can just get out of college and go immediately to work. So it would probably work out better for her to be in Fort Collins, which has way more job opportunities as well than here, and probably higher rate of pay. And it would be closer for me in case something happens with my grandson. Just a whole lot of things. And also it's lower elevation. So she would actually be going down an elevation to go to Fort Collins. Not much, but at least it is a straight road. It doesn't have a pass. There is less weather that direction. Even if there is weather, more than likely she would still be able to reach the college okay. So there's a whole lot of good things about that. I think we do have a couple of other webcams, Carolyn, floating around in the house somewhere, and I may have to look into that too. But I might just end up buying a cheap webcam, Walmart or something, just so I can get it all set up so I'm not like looking down all the time. I constantly want to look down, want to look at my keyboard, because I have bad eyesight anyway, honestly. My left eye is legally blind. And I can't, for me, I have to look at my keyboard because I got to see what I'm doing, which is, I can't really see very well what I'm doing. Hello, your pal Misty. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are. This is kind of like a test live stream to see how it's working, and get myself a little bit more familiar with it, because I haven't done one. This is my first one. So again, if you have any questions or anything, just pop them in there and I'll read them and try to answer them. If you need advice on something, I'll try to give you advice, if I know anything about the topic. But or especially about gardening, if you want to try to get into gardening. I have been looking at possibly going into doing a master gardening classes. They do offer classes here in Cheyenne, Wyoming at the Agriculture Extension Office. So I am looking at that possibility. There's a lot that I know about gardening, but there's not a lot that I know about the type of soil and climate that we have in Cheyenne, Wyoming, because all the knowledge that I have I was originally from East Tennessee, and that's where I did a lot of my gardening. And it is, I will admit, a lot easier in East Tennessee to garden. However, there are more pests in East Tennessee. I had to deal more with a lot of, caterpillars and worms and stuff like that in East Tennessee versus here. So there's less pest activity. In fact, don't think I've ever actually seen a snail or a slug on anything that I have here, but I do know that they're there because I do occasionally see like a little trail or something. Yeah, I've got a laptop, and it was kind of like the cast-off laptop from my partner, because I was telling everybody that he's into computer technology. He makes computer chips. So he is CEO of 2 companies. That's why we have such a large house. People are asking me all the time, why do we have such a large house? We've got a Victorian house. So it has 30 rooms in the house, 9 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms. And the reason why we have such a large house is because he's a CEO of 2 companies and he makes computer chips. And there was enough space in the basement for him to have a lab. So he has like, mechanisms to make the air completely sterile, and um, things to, like, he has a refrigerator that can go to like -20. So he has all of this special equipment, and he has a computer chip separator, like it picks up the computer chips and moves them to a tray and that kind of stuff. So he has all of the special equipment for a lab, and we needed the extra room, and this basement has all of the room that he needs, and it was a finished basement, so he has more like a room that has a wood floor and stuff versus having just an unfinished basement with, say, a concrete floor. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a sterile environment. He has to keep a sterile environment for the computer chips and stuff because, they just, if they get any dust in them or anything, the type of computer chips that he makes, I wish I had one. I have one somewhere. It's, goodness, I wouldn't be sure where I've put it at this point. But the computer chips that he makes are like about a little bit bigger than the head of a pin. They're tiny, 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 tiny little things. Um, and they have 144 computers that are in this little tiny chip. In fact, he makes like the most efficient, lowest energy computer chip in the world. So he has all of these people that wants his computer chips. Unfortunately, Microsoft doesn't, because Microsoft has an exclusivity agreement, and Apple has an exclusivity agreement. So they don't want the type of computer chips that he has because they're better than their computer chips, and they don't want people to know that. So anyway, self-sufficient. I don't know. I'm not plain. I've never been Amish or Mennonite or anything, but I was raised in East Tennessee in the mountains, remote area. It was very, very rural. Um, Closest town to where I was born into was about 30 minutes away, which doesn't seem like a long time, but when you've got an emergency or anything like that, 30 minutes can make a lot of difference. And it's in the mountains, so there were times when, if it snowed or anything, I don't know if you all know anything about Roan Mountain, Tennessee, but it is the third highest peak on the east. And a lot of the roads and things are very treacherous to try to get around, especially when I was little. I'm 45 years old, so I'm not young. And when I was little, the roads were like little 2-lane roads, and windy, twisty. So 30 minutes can make a heck of a lot of difference if you have an emergency that's going on. And the town that I was born in Roan Mountain, has about 10,000 people, so it's not very big at all. But, there are towns that are here in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where I live now, and have been for the past 6 years, that literally have like 45 people. I did see a town just a couple days ago. We were traveling up to the northern part of Wyoming. We actually went over to South Dakota and Hot Springs, and there was a town that had one person, one population, one. So I was just so surprised. And it was really funny because there was a gift shop. It was like, there's a gift shop and one person. So no, I wasn't raised plain, but I was raised a little bit differently than most others. In East Tennessee, I was raised as a Seventh-day Adventist. So it's a very strict religion. You don't, they really don't want you to cut your hair, and I didn't cut my hair until I was, I think, in fifth grade, and I cut my hair from well past my knees to very, very short, shorter than it is right now. I will cut it way up here. And my entire family and a lot of people got really upset with me. And you're not allowed to pierce your ears. You're not allowed to wear makeup. You're not allowed a whole lot of things. So I was raised in a very strict religion. And when I was born in East Tennessee, Um, I we didn't have it easy. Like my parents were musicians and they traveled around and they became kind of popular, and we had, if you want to say it, money after, not a lot of money, but enough to survive. Um, Only after like the mid 80s, and I was already 10 years old by that point. Prior to that, I was basically born on farm life, and it wasn't like we had a farm. Um, Initially, when I was first born, we lived in a mobile home park, a trailer park. Um, and we were very, very, very poor. It's like when I was joking with someone the other day that was saying, well, you don't know what it's like to be in, quote unquote, the ghetto or anything like that. And I was like, were you born where you didn't know where your next meal was coming from? Like, I've been there. I've been didn't know where my next meal was coming from. My parents didn't know where their next meal was coming from. They didn't know if they were going to be able to pay the electric bill. And there's been a couple times when they couldn't pay the electric bill and the electricity got shut off. And we had a tree fall on our mobile home, and we were without electricity for more than a month during Christmas. So we had to go to my grandparents' house to be able to have Christmas. And I remember my mother being so worried that she was going to be able to provide Christmas for us. And there have been Christmases where we might have gotten one or two things and that be it. Um, I remember times when we had like nearly zero gas in our vehicles and not sure how we were going to get gas again, especially in, I remember the late 70s, and I remember the gas crisis then. And I remember my dad not sure how he was going to get gas and it being too expensive that he couldn't afford it, and, stuff like that. So I explain to people all the time, yeah, I was not in by any means raised in a life that was privileged. So, oh, sorry, I've totally missed some of those. Yeah, that's one place I haven't gotten to visit yet is the Scottish Highlands. I would really love to do that. I got to go to Switzerland, and was telling everyone earlier, Switzerland, France, Germany, Italy, Liechtenstein, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. But one of the places that I would like to go to is the Scottish Highlands, because I know that my heritage, my genetics, if you want to say, have Scottish in them, and I'm not sure exactly where and why, and I would like to have that explained, and to do the research on it. I've tried to do as much research on my family as I can, and I keep coming into like a brick wall. I've had people tell us that we're Welsh, that I'm Welsh, um, but it doesn't make in a huge amount of sense, because my last name, and I'll say my last name on here, is Birchfield. It's Birchfield. And in the UK, I know that there is a place called the Birchfield Harriers. And I didn't know for the longest time that Harriers, I guess, means bicycles. They're bicycles. So, um, and I know that in Scotland, and I think it is around Fort William, there is a place called the Birchfield Bed and Breakfast. And I'm wondering, why is there a Birchfield Bed and Breakfast, if I'm supposed to be Welsh? And I, by looking at me, like looking at my body and stuff, my hair and things like that, to me, I look pretty Scottish-ish. I have skin that burns. I go out in the sun, I get burned. Period. And my hair is actually, I kind of straightened it today. My hair is actually really curly. And you can see one of the curls right now. My hair is pretty curly and I have some red in it. And my skin is pretty fair. And I don't know, my facial structure and stuff like that. But I do know that my grandmother on my mother's side, or sorry, on my father's side is a McKinney. And I know McKinney was Irish, but then there was something about the name changed from the MAC to the MK, or MCK after they went to Ireland. So I don't know. I wish I knew more information than what I do. I would like to know what my genetic history is. But I do know that there's a Birchfield bed and breakfast, and I think there's a Birchfield Manor in Scotland. So I wonder why that there was so much Birchfields there, if something or the other. I don't know. But I do know about the Battle of Glencoe and things like that. So I don't want to know that my family had any negative part in that, but I'm sure that it was a possibility. And I don't know. Yeah, I would think so. That's what I keep thinking, and I have a huge amount of McKinneys all over my father's side. But then there's also some German in there. My mother is a Holzklau, which is very German, and then there's also some Native American in there, which I have found out. Now I have some documents on that. Doing the research into my family, I found some documents in regards to Native American. So I have that in there. Um, it's funny. I'm a mutt. I'm a mutt, but my parents, like I was saying, play music, and what they play is Appalachian old time music, and all of the ballads and everything that they play, they come from Scotland. They come from Scotland and Ireland. They play a lot of the same music. There's a lot of the same words to the music, um, and it's pretty interesting. I would love to know more of the history. I wish that I had started playing music, but mine my talent came out in art. I actually draw and paint, so the music is there. I can sing. I can sing very, very well. I know the songs. I can remember the songs. I know the words. And I could play. There's been a couple of times when I would pick up music instruments and play. My dad would teach me some notes and things, and it's in there. I could play if I had the discipline to do it, but I just never had the discipline to play the instrument longer than a few weeks. So I still have the instruments. My dad made. My dad used to make fiddles. He made violins, if you want to be technical. But there is a difference between a violin and a fiddle, and it happens to be in the inside of the fiddle is the sound post. There's a setting that's different. They set the sound post differently. You had a tool for that. So anyway, he made a fiddle for me that I had requested. Um, he preferred to play very loud fiddles. And I like a very clear fiddle. I like a good sound. It can be loud, but it just has to be clear. I don't like any of the vibration or anything. So I requested for him to make me a fiddle that he had never seen before, that he had never attempted to make before. And typically, I know that probably you all don't know very much about fiddles or violins, but typically the way a violin is made, they're made with a spruce front and maple back, or spruce back. They'll make a spruce front, spruce back, and then maple trim and things like that. Um, he typically made them with the spruce front and the maple back. I wanted the entire fiddle, fretboard, which they don't really have frets, but the neck of the fiddle, the back, the front, the trim, even the chin plate. I wanted all of it made entirely out of maple. And it is a particular type of maple called curly maple or tiger maple here, or in East Tennessee. So he thought I was crazy. He said, I've never done that before. No one has ever done that before. And he said, I don't know if I can get the wood to bend that way, because apparently curly maple or tiger maple is really difficult to work with when you're bending it. And I told him that I wanted the fiddle completely blonde. I wanted it completely clear varnish, not the dark mahogany stain that they usually use for fiddles, or the cherry stains. A lot of times it's cherry as well. It's just either you get a violin, it's either brown or it's like a dark red. So I asked for it to be made that way, and even the keys, I wanted the keys in the fiddle in the neck to be curly maple, and the tailpiece, and there is a soundboard. So I wanted all of that to be made in curly maple, and he did it. He did it. It's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it sounds amazing. Honestly, it's the best fiddle he ever made, and he finished it 1 year before he died. And I have that fiddle. I still have that fiddle. I have a guitar that I had found that is a very, very old vintage guitar. And the only thing I don't have is a banjo. And I never really liked a banjo. I thought they were really loud and annoying, but they used banjos in their bands. And typically it was a banjo, fiddle, guitar, and bass. My mother played a washtub bass. Yeah, a washtub, a washtub with a string and a stick. And there's a little bit more to it than that. It's not just that, but that's what she would play. Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. Maybe I'll bring it on live stream sometime. I could go get it, but that would mean I would have to walk away from the live stream for a little bit, just because I have to get it out of a chest. And I'm not real sure. I haven't looked at it in about 6 months. But when you leave a fiddle or violin in a chest or anywhere for very long, sometimes the strings will come loose, and I don't I don't really want to look at it in that state. I can't play it. I wish I could, but my dad always used to tell me that playing a fiddle is the most difficult instrument out of all of them, because it takes a lot of hand work, um, especially with noting them. Yeah, there's some banjo music that I like. It's just it for me, because I was raised in that lifestyle of having musicians around. I really prefer that if someone's going to play an instrument, that they play it really well. And there's some people that just don't, even though they play. And so, yeah. Liverpool, England. We've had a lot of friends that came to visit, especially my family that were from Liverpool. So I know your accent. If you've been there for a long time, I know your accent. It's tough, Carolyn. It is really tough. My dad used to say that it's the toughest instrument that you can try to play. Um, and I have tried to play it, and it is very, very hard on your fingers. You really have to toughen your fingers up. So, got to get those calluses. That sounds pretty cool, Misty. Oh, pretty cool, Tom. So, Tom Jones. Is that your real name, or you just really like the actor Tom Jones? Yeah, some do. But my family, with my dad especially, he didn't even really like the chin guard. He took the chin guard off. And he was left handed. So every instrument that he played, he didn't change the strings around or anything. He played them left-handed. So for me, it kind of looks like he's playing absolutely backwards. But that's kind of really how he played. Like, he started out with a guitar. Um, so he started playing guitar. I think he traded a bicycle or something for it. It was a story many, many years ago. So I think he was probably like 8 or 9 when he started playing guitar, but he traded his bicycle for it. And he was an amazing guitar player, and left-handed. And I used to it amazed me him playing left-handed, because he would basically have to back pick the guitar because he didn't change the strings around. That was another reason why I guess I never learned how to play, was because I'm right-handed, and for me it was just like, there was no way for me to learn from him, because not only did he play left-handed, he also was back picking, and I would have had to have done that completely differently. And one of the amazing things about him as a guitar player is that he could play both melody and rhythm at the same time. So that is very, very difficult for a lot of guitar players. Most guitar players are either one or the other. They're not both. I learned how to play piano. I started out on piano. My dad thought it would be easier for me to play piano. He loved piano, but he never played piano. He played 7 different instruments, but he never played piano, even though he loved it. And he thought it would be amazing to have a piano in an Appalachian string band. But for some reason, he just never did. I guess at the time, he probably thought pianos were so expensive that he probably just couldn't do it or something. And how he always ended up with instruments that he had tons of instruments, guitars and banjos and fiddles and things like that, is because he started working on them. And a lot of times people would come and say, hey, can you fix my guitar? And then they couldn't afford to get it out of his hands. They couldn't afford to pay for it after it was fixed. So then he would say, well, you can, just leave the guitar with me then, because it's going to be taken care of, obviously. So that's how he ended up with a lot of his instruments, is people just couldn't pay their bill, and would just leave the instrument with him. He had and it still has it, after he passed away. My mom has it now. They had a Civil War banjo that had came to be worked on by him, because he was the only one that could work on it. And the banjos at the Civil War times were completely different than the banjos now. And they have less frets and all kinds of things. So he completely refurbished this Civil War banjo, got it back to working. And the lady, and this banjo's worth tens of thousands of dollars. The lady who owned it, she just said for him to keep it, because she couldn't play it anyway, and there was no use of her keeping it. And she was in her 60s, and she said, I won't be alive much longer either. So just keep it, because it's in the best hands that it could be in. So it's still there. All of his instruments are still there after he passed away. And he has some really nice guitars. He has some Gibson guitars. These are really expensive guitars. He had those. And um, my brother plays music. I have one brother. I don't have any sisters. My brother can play guitar, but he doesn't play very often, because he's more interested in doing mechanic work and stuff. He's a very good mechanic, and he's also into herb trade, like ginseng and stuff like that. So all of our family has been very self-sufficient. You mentioned being self-sufficient earlier, Tom. Yes, we've always been self-sufficient. My father was not educated. He was born at home. He never went to school, and he was one of the best auto mechanics that I know of ever. And that's what he did his business. He had a business of being an auto mechanic, and then he also happened to play music. So then when they started traveling around playing music, that's how they made money then. So it's really more like that they made more money on music, and he just kind of had the side job of being a mechanic. And so whenever they weren't traveling, which is usually the winter time, then he would be mechanicking in his garage, and he built his own garages and all that stuff. So yeah, we've always been kind of self-sufficient. And by the time I tell people all the time, by the time I was 8 years old, I was working in fields. I would go out to the fields with everybody else that were usually adults and teenagers. I would be on the back of a truck going from field to field, these large, um, I wouldn't even say like commercial farming. It wasn't commercial farming. A lot of times they were just individual farms. Then they would have like, produce stands and stuff like that along the road. But these farms would be big. I mean, we would have gardens that were big enough to sustain us with food all year. So um, I would go on the back of a truck with a whole bunch of people, and we would get out and do farming. We would I would make $30 a week at that time when I was little. So I would go and hoe the fields, or plant the fields, or harvest the fields, all during the summer, spring and summer. And then in the fall, it would be going out to do hay. At 8 years old, I was tossing 75-pound bales of hay onto the back of a truck. So, it's like the fields that are in East Tennessee, not a lot of them are flat. They are on the side of a mountain sometimes. They are on a ridge or whatever. They may do with whatever they had, and old tractors, and sometimes the equipment wouldn't be working, so we would end up doing more than maybe what was planned for, especially like, usually when you have bales of hay, 75-pound bales of hay, you have a tractor that goes around and picks those bales of hay up and puts them on the back of a truck. Well, usually you couldn't get the tractor where it needed to go, or the tractor was broken down, so then we would end up having to pick the bales up and put them on the back of the truck. So I was tossing 75 pounds bales of hay at 8 years old. And, I have a lot of times that people like Carolyn, that you see in the comments, we have both been attempting to lose weight. And for me, it's very, very difficult. I would say Carolyn's probably went through some of the same things as well. My body structure and everything is, I'm a big girl. I'm large. And a lot of it is not from just being that I've eaten too much. It's that I have a lot of muscle content too. My shoulders are broad. I have a lot of muscle in my arms, and it comes from when I was working all the time outside, working in these farms and fields. And then when I was in high school, anytime that anyone would tell me that I couldn't do something, I would be bound and determined that I would do it one way or not. So I started lifting weights in high school because some guy told me that I couldn't because I'm a girl. So I got to the point where I was bench pressing 250 pounds regularly. So that's kind of how I am. Stubborn, stubborn streak, and tough. I've been like that. I've had to be like that. Um, and I've had a tough life. There are some things that I have been through that would probably absolutely shock you all beyond comprehension. So I've had to be that way, hardwired that way. And I don't want to ever forget that I was raised that way and that I can still do those things. I can drive horses. I can ride horses. I've had to plow with horses before. I can drive oxen. I've had to drive oxen and use them in the fields before. I can work on things. I don't really do it that often. I know vehicles. I can hear a vehicle, listen to a vehicle, and tell you what's wrong with the vehicle. I don't work on the vehicle. Um, but because my dad was a mechanic, there was a lot of things that I learned. And I've always been of the frame of the mind that I, the only person that I can 100% rely on, and this is true in anyone's life, the only person that you can 100% rely on is yourself. You can have others that are in your life that you could probably rely on, but it's very difficult for me to trust anyone. So the only person that I know for 100% sure that I can trust is myself. So I've always been of the frame of mind that I need to learn and do and expect as much as I can out of myself. So I've tried to learn as much as I can about everything that I can and do it well. Not just learn it, but do it well. And I've had to drive tractors, backhoes, dozers. I've had to put in septic systems before. I've had to run the lines. I've had to put in water lines before. I've had to put in reservoirs before. I've had to drywall reservoirs before that didn't work very well, or they were leaking, or they were this, or they were that. There's a whole story about that that I can teach you how to make reservoirs not leak because I had that experience. There's a whole lot of things that I can do. I don't do them often anymore because it hasn't been necessary to do. So awesome, Misty. That is amazing. Yay. Congratulations to you. And Carolyn, you are rocking it. You are definitely rocking it. Have you had a chance to check out? There's this woman that I follow her channel as well. And oh gosh, what is the name of her channel? And I hate this. There's one thing about these screens that I can't really see very well, and that is when you go from the live stream screen to go to another thing. Um, but you might know her. Her name's April Lauren. Have you watched her? She's on a journey to lose. I think it's 150 pounds as well, or maybe 200 pounds. It's 200 pounds. She's on a journey to lose 200 pounds. I tell people all the time, I don't really go into the amount of weight that I need to lose. I just say I need to lose me. Like me. Oh, definitely look her up. She's amazing. Her name's April Lauren. And it's so funny because we think we might know each other. She used to live in Johnson City, Tennessee, and I was in after I left Rome Mountain when I grew up, over 18. I lived in North Carolina for a very short amount of time when I've had two marriages. First marriage. That is a whole story we'll have to go into another time because when I was saying that I had a tough time, first marriage. Anyway, I lived in Jonesboro, Tennessee after I moved back and lived in Elizabethton for a little while. There's a town in a city in East Tennessee called Elizabethton. Not it's spelled Elizabethan, but they say Elizabethton. So I lived there for a little bit, and then I moved on to Jonesboro after I bought a house in Jonesboro, Tennessee. Beautiful place, absolutely gorgeous, oldest town in Tennessee. Anyway, I think that April Lauren and I actually have talked to each other a few times in real life because we were in the same area at the same time, but we both can't pinpoint it exactly. Like we don't know where it was at and what. But she's like, I think I know you. And I said, I think I know you too. So it was pretty funny. I know with losing weight because I have lost weight in the past. When my first divorce happened, and it's been more than 20 years ago now, I at my heaviest point at that point was 260 pounds. And it was extremely difficult to try to lose enough. All my goal was at that time was to get under 200 pounds, and I got to 190. So there were a lot of plateaus in that, and that is one of the things that kicks you in the butt when you're trying to lose weight is the plateaus. And I think what it is your body is adjusting to the amount of food that you're eating at any given time. So when you eat less food and you're eating better food, you still hit a plateau. So then you have to eat a little bit less food to get that over that plateau hurdle. But I tell people all the time, it's like, I don't understand exactly why I'm as large as I am, because I don't eat any more than I have a friend who literally is like a size 2. She eats more than I do. And she's 32 now. And I know she's younger, but she eats way more than I do. I mean, like triple, quadruple the amount at every meal that I would eat. And there are times when I am doing intermittent fasting, they call it. I didn't call it that at the time. It's just I didn't like to eat breakfast. I don't like breakfast food. That's a little thing about me. I don't like breakfast food. I can make the heck out of some biscuits and gravy and stuff because Southern girl here, but I just don't like to eat it. I don't like the heavy feeling that I have after eating biscuits and gravy and stuff, and it gives me heartburn a lot of times, so I just don't eat it. And I knew for a long time that if it gives you heartburn, it probably isn't very good for you. So I would avoid those things. So I've been doing intermittent fasting for years and years and years, but I haven't really seen a whole lot of difference in my weight from intermittent fasting. And a lot of times these days, there will be very little that I'll eat throughout a day. And then I got into this, where people were saying it's better to eat more meals, eat small meals 4 or 5 times a day, right? I tried that. All I did was gain weight 4 or 5 times a day. And I'm pretty active. As you see, I'm gardening all the time. So I'm outside and I'm doing things. I do go on walks. I don't probably walk as much as I should, but we do walk. We have 4 dogs, so we like to go on walks. We go out and play with the dogs and stuff like that. I just don't do weightlifting and stuff like I did when I was in high school. And one of the things I don't want to get into, and this is a personal preference of mine, is I don't want to get into this having to constantly think 100% of the time about food, where food is going to come next, how I'm going to make my meal, how many labels that I have to go over constantly. And it just becomes an entire day long revolving door of thinking about food constantly, whether you're going to eat food or whether you're going to prepare food or when you're going to get your next meal and how that meal is going to be made and how many things are in it and on and on and on. And pone bread, huh? Yeah, I make that too. I don't so often anymore. I think I've made cornbread one time this year, and that was to go with some chili. Now that is something you can eat the heck out of, by the way, is chili. Chili is like so good for you. A lot of protein, very low fat, low calories. It's awesome. Eat the heck out of some chili. And I make awesome chili, by the way. But yeah, I don't want to constantly have to think about food. And we were on, my partner and I, my partner has an autoimmune disease, and it's a skin disease. So he had this suggestion from a doctor to go on something called an autoimmune protocol diet. It's actually a lifestyle change. It's not a diet. And we were on that for a year. Yes, I lost weight. Not a huge amount. But the thing that I didn't like about it was constantly having to look at, we had a list of things that we could eat. When you're on an autoimmune protocol, lifestyle change. It is kind of like keto, but on crack. Seriously, it's you can't eat brassicas. You can't, which is cabbage and kale and stuff like that. You can't eat those on the autoimmune protocol diet. You can't eat onions. You can't eat garlic. You can't eat any carbs hardly whatsoever. Um, they don't really want you eating a whole lot of green foods. Um, Vegetables are considered starchy and carbohydrate laden, so they really didn't want you to eat a whole lot of those. You couldn't eat carrots, and there's a whole lot of things, and there's very little that you can eat on the AIP diet that you're not constantly having to look at labels. You're not. It's an all-consuming thing, and every single meal that you're going to have, you are constantly wondering when you're going to get that meal, how you're going to prepare that meal, where you're going to go. Like, and during the time that we were doing it, we were going to Switzerland. So we went to Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Germany, France, Italy, and we were on this autoimmune protocol diet. And they eat a lot of breads. They have a lot of breads and a lot of pastries, and and they eat a lot of healthy stuff too. But you don't, like, we didn't know the language, so it's sometimes ordering food's a little dangerous if you are on a specific lifestyle and you don't know what's in the food, and stuff like that. So yeah, we lost weight. I think I lost like 20-30 pounds on that, but at some point it just stopped because you're still eating the same amount of food, it's just a different kind of food. So the label looking and all of that stuff just kind of drove me crazy. Um, if I'm going to make a lifestyle change, honestly, I think the best thing is to just eat less and watch portions and eat eat the things that are out there. Just monitor portions. And I think I don't know if you all know the channel. You probably do. Jordan Shrinks. I think that's what she went to. She initially started out with, I think it was a high carbohydrate diet, but she would cut out other things, and that's how she lost all the weight initially. And I think she lost like over 200 pounds as well. I don't remember exactly how much it was. No, 130. 130 pounds. She lost 130 pounds. Now I remember her channel thing. So anyway, I think that's what she did. But then later on, to maintain the weight loss, she went to a lower calorie diet. And so now she's eating low calorie, low carb, and stuff like that. So that's how she's maintaining it. And that was one of my concerns too, because when I lost from the 260 to the 190, I didn't know how to maintain it at that point. It's like all I ever wanted was just to get less than 200 pounds. I didn't care what it was where it was at under the 200 pounds. I just want to be less than 200 pounds because I'm pretty tall. And for me, being under 200 pounds, people start asking me stuff like, "Are you sure you're okay? Or you look a little sick. You look really pale. Are you eating enough?" I mean, because I'm pretty tall. I'm was at that point over 5'8". I was 5'9" when I graduated high school, but now I'm down to like 5'7". So you get shorter as you get older, by the way. And it could be partially weight. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm 5'7" right now, and it just, I don't know how to maintain the weight loss once the weight loss happens. When I moved to Cheyenne, I had actually gotten back up from the initial 260. I had gained that back. It was over a long period of time, but I did gain the weight back. So then when I moved to Cheyenne, I decided that I needed to lose weight again, and I wasn't eating as much, and we were doing a lot of things, and so I lost the weight back down. I lost 60 pounds then, so I was right at 200 then. And then, of course, over time, it has slowly started creeping back up again. So I'm not someone that gains weight extremely fast, and I always kind of stick around the same amount of weight. It's like I don't get to the 300-pound mark, but I'm always like under it, just a bit. Like if I ate a little bit more, I could be at 300 real fast, But I don't gain weight fast because I don't really eat a whole lot more than I was eating before. I think my issue with the weight loss is cake. Like I like to eat cake. Um, I don't really and the thing is like I don't eat the typical snack foods that I think most people do. Like, I know a lot of people like pie. I don't like pie. I don't eat pie. I don't like the crust. It's doughy. Yuck. Too much dough. um, and I don't like cobblers. And a lot of people in the South I know like cobblers. I don't like cobblers because of the dough. I have an issue with dough, like a dough consistency stuff. Um, I don't eat, like chicken and dumplings because of the dough. Um, so I don't eat a lot of those things. I don't really eat a whole lot of potato chips. I don't really like potato chips that much. I'll eat them if they're like at a family reunion or something, and that's the side that they have is like you go and get a handful of potato chips. I'll eat them then. But I don't go looking for potato chips specifically to snack on. Um, if I'm snacking on something, it's usually going to be fruit or nuts. Like I have like a container of like mixed nuts and stuff. I'll eat those. And fruit leathers, I eat that a lot. Or like I don't eat chips, but I'll eat tortillas. I have like, especially like lately, I just found these. Oh gosh, what are they called? Let me look at them. I'll have to get up and get them. These On the Border jalapeno ranch. I get those and I eat those, but I don't eat very many of them. Like I've had this bag now since a month ago, and I've only went through that much. Yeah, they're really good, and I'm glad they've started doing that, like where they make the different flavors of those, because usually you could only get the plain. So you got them for salsa and stuff. And I don't eat salsa very much because I don't think about it, I guess. Like if it's here at the house, I'll eat it, but I don't make salsa. Like I don't go out of my way to make salsa. Um, you would think like I grow tomatoes that I would make salsa, and I have tomatillos this year, so I'll probably be making some salsa. But I don't really eat salsa. Like we don't eat tacos and stuff very much. Like the foods that I make for lunches and dinners and things like that is like I'll roast chicken and I've done videos, like I've done some of my recipe videos like spatchcock chicken and stuff like that. I'll make chicken, or a lot of times we'll have steak. Honestly, we'll have ribeyes, and I don't even eat baked potatoes very much. Like I might eat baked potatoes 2 or 3 times a year. Like I said, I think my main issue is cake. Like I will sit down and eat a cake. Donuts. I will sit down and eat some donuts. Um, I don't really eat ice cream that much. I might eat ice cream like 2 or 3 times a year. Um, it's just I think what it is just the things that I snack on and how much I'm eating of it. Because even fruit leathers can be bad for you because they have carbohydrates. Fruit is a carbohydrate. And I will sit down if I'm going to eat like, dried mango, I will eat like 8, 10 slices of dried mango. So, and Tom Jones, one of my probably bad things that I do is I like tea. I definitely like tea. I like hot tea I put cream in it, and I probably shouldn't. And I put cream in it. I put cream in my hot tea and sugar. I don't even bake my own bread very much. Like we don't eat bread very much here. Most of my meals do not have a bread item with them. Oh, Carolyn's hungry. Where's she going? Is she getting one of those? What was it that you really, really like? That it's like your favorite is the wraps, isn't it? Oh, I hate that I missed Misty leaving. I hope she's gonna have a good day. Yeah, I gotta get my day started here pretty soon too. The low carb tortillas. Yep, that's what you were going on about. I've not gotten into those so much. I tried getting some of those wraps, like the flat out. I think they're called flat out wraps. I got a spinach one, and I got I think it was just like a multi-grain one or something. I don't like them very much. I just the flavor. I would rather just wrap something in lettuce and eat it that way. Like I have no issue wrapping a burger in lettuce. It to me it still tastes the same. It's just that it's a little messy sometimes. We have no Aldi's here. I miss Aldi's. We had an Aldi's that had just opened up in Johnson City, Tennessee before I left there. And I got to go there, like, I think it was open for about a year before I left. So I got to go there for that year. And we don't have one here in Cheyenne. Really ticks me off because Cheyenne is the exact same size as Johnson City, Tennessee. It has the same amount of people, about 58 to 60,000. And I know most people are like, it boggles their mind that Wyoming only has like a 500,000 people in the state. And Tennessee is a smaller state and has 6.5 million people. I know. And then we don't have a Trader Joe's either. Hi, Zincalo. Welcome in. Oh, nice. How the heck does Discord notify people that I'm having a live stream? That's weird. You got to tell me more about this, Carolyn. What happens when you do a live stream? Like, well, where all does it notify? I have no idea. Okay. Well, thank you. I was beginning to think, like, what the heck does it do when you do a live stream? It just tells everybody in the world? See, like, I know about technology, like, I can build my own computer and stuff, but when it comes to, like, social media stuff, I'm kind of a little bit behind still. I have Discord, and we actually use it for some other online stuff that we do, especially gaming and things. Um, I used to be an avid World of Warcraft player. I'm recovering from that. But I started World of Warcraft basically when it came out and got to the point that I got so addicted to it. And I don't really have an addictive personality. That's another thing about me that's a little bit different. But I would say that I did kind of get addicted to World of Warcraft to the point where I was finding excuses to be able to be out of work so I could play World of Warcraft. And I would take a vacation day and go and play World of Warcraft all day. Not that it was to the point where I would take my entire vacation for it, which I've known people do. But I would definitely, like call out a day here or there for playing World of Warcraft. I went from, I think I started playing in like 2003. No, maybe even earlier than that, 2002. Whenever World of Warcraft came out. So I started playing then, and then I stopped playing in 2007 or 8 and didn't go back to it until this latest expansion came out. But I stopped playing when Pandaria came out, the panda thing and World of Warcraft. That was just weird. So I just stopped then and then went back the last expansion where they changed everything. Played for about a year off and on and quit. I was just like, I don't know if I'm not in the same age frame anymore or something. It was just like, it was just really annoying to me more than it did anything else. So I was just like, no, I'm done. I'm so done. I have multiple 120 level characters that I just stopped playing. Yeah, but I got into something called Second Life in 2004, actually 2003. Started beta testing for Second Life and then kind of hung it up and didn't do anything with Second Life after about 2004, 2005. Actually, no, about mid 2005. So I stopped playing Second Life, and it's not really a game. Second Life is like a format where you can meet people from all over the world and be able to interact with them as an avatar. Um, and I really enjoy Second Life too much, probably, because you can do everything in Second Life that you can't do in your real life. There's so many things that you can do there. But I stopped with Second Life in the beginning because it was kind of difficult to navigate. Um, because it is not a game. It's like a whole different format, and it was difficult to get around in Second Life without. Oh, it was just difficult. In the beginning, it was just difficult. So then somebody suggested to me, hey, there's it's part of the lifestyle that I'm in. Um, and I don't want to really go in. I've done a couple of videos on it, but it's difficult to explain it, and maybe I'll do another video another time. But it's one of the reasons why I wear this. So anyway, I got involved again with Second Life in 2014. So I didn't have the original avatar that I had made in like 2003 for it because I didn't think that you could use them anymore because I was a beta tester. I was like, okay, so I can't use that avatar, so I'll make a new avatar. So I did that. But then there's this whole culture in Second Life that believes that alternative characters, like alts from the original character that you made, is bad. So I kind of got caught up in that for a while and had this like negative reputation because I had started another avatar. I didn't have my original one anymore. I didn't even remember what the email was anymore that I'd had that avatar on. So I was like, I'm never going to be able to get that avatar back. So I'll just, create this new avatar. And what you can, Second Life promotes that. You can have whole hordes of alternative characters if you want, like you can on World of Warcraft. So I didn't think that much about it, except then there's this other aspect of people looking down on you negatively because you have another character. They think you're being deceptive or something. And that was never my intention. I just couldn't get back my original avatar, I thought. Well, then when I was moving, because I met my partner in Second Life, so I met him in Second Life. We got to know each other, and I moved here to Cheyenne to be with him. And I've been here for 6 years, so obviously it worked out. Um, when I was moving and getting everything out of my house and stuff, I came across that email that I had when I had made that character. So I was able to get that character back. So I got back my original character that I'd had from 2003. But because everyone that I had been honest with in Second Life about having an alt, they were still pissed off because I got my old avatar back. But they still gave me this reputation as being someone who creates other characters because I had done that one time. So And before I actually met these people, I was just like, okay, I'm going to make a few different characters because that way I can, go be in Star Trek because I like Star Trek. I'm kind of a nerdy girl, geek babe, that kind of stuff. So I was like, I like Star Trek, I like Star Wars, I like, you know, comic books, and I like D&D and Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. So I made multiple characters to do different things in Second Life. At one point, I had 8 characters. I didn't want really to have 8 characters. I wanted to be able to have one character and do all of these things on. But if you did this, like if you didn't have your one character in one thing, then people would also be pissed off at you about that. So if you went and did multiple things in Second Life, they'd be pissed off at you. So it was just like you couldn't win for losing. And then after I got my original character back, I got rid of all the other alts. I only had my main character. I still only have my main avatar, which I designed after I got kind of aggravated with the way people were acting. I said, I'm going to make my main avatar myself. So she has my name. My avatar looks like me as much as I can. I am exactly how I am in Second Life as I am offline in the real world. I'm exactly the same. I am honest, and I go out of my way to make sure that I maintain that avatar exactly how I am. So that is what I'm doing, and that is how I met my partner. This is how I ended up in Cheyenne, and I wouldn't do it any differently. And that's where I'm at. Is in Second Life. Now I also play. I am not an avid gamer. I have never have been, even though I play games. I have never been like this huge avid gamer. So I also only play one other game, and that's Elder Scrolls Online, because it's like way better than World of Warcraft. It has more of a plot line, and it is well more thought out and designed better. So anyway, that's what else I do. Anyway, yeah, Carolyn, thanks. Thanks for coming to my live stream and enjoying it. This was just really a test run, and I've got to go do some things as well. So I'm going to wish everybody well. I've got to go get some groceries and stuff like that. And thank you, Tom Jones, for being here from the UK, and hope you enjoy it. Checking out my channel and stuff. It's not like I'm technical about everything. It's just about gardening, but I do videos on some other things from time to time. So, hi, Evie. It's a pleasure to meet you too, even though I haven't really seen you yet. But thanks for coming over to the live stream. I hope you were here a little bit longer than just now, because I'm getting ready to log off and go do what I need to do during the day. So I have to go to the grocery store and stuff. It's that time of the month. We usually try to plan all of our things for the end of the month like this, before the first of the month, so that way we're not having to deal with like all the lines and stuff. But we do once a month grocery shopping, usually hitting Sam's Club and a couple other things, of the stuff that I'm not raising. So anyway, hope everybody's had a great time with my live stream, and I'm hoping that I'll do this again soon, and maybe I can get it like scheduled so people can come in and know that it's happening. But anyway, I hope everybody has a great day wherever you are, and we'll see you in the next live stream or the next video. Bye.